So, mm, so I did a chaos magic spell and it worked. I charged a sigil and it actually worked out. Let me tell you about this because it's interesting. I'm well aware the second I say I did a chaos magic ritual, half of my viewers are going, "Oh, whoa, no, whoa, we're not interested in this, mate. Come on." But some of you are, and I am. So balls to you. So here it is. My weird spiritual ideas. But I first of all explain what a sigil is. It comes from the sort of world of. I learnt about it through the world of chaos magic. I learnt about it first in the 90s when the comic book writer Grant Morrison did a speech at the Disinfo Con. You should always get your spiritual teachings from comic book writers, I find. I mean, they tend to know what's going on. But this speech blew me away at the time. He was talking about. I was very interested in the occult, and I was also interested in different ways of being. It was a very experimental time in my life. I just met Stephen Russell and we were hanging out a lot and things were going well. And then I'd learnt this little technique from this speech, which was sort of opened the door to the whole chaos magic thing that I'm quite into. And that I'm going to talk about more on this channel because a lot of people ask me about it. And it's not nonsense. I sort of straddle the world between comedians and magicians, as in conjurers. And they are the most cynical bunch of bastards you'll ever meet in your entire life. So I'm well aware by talking about these things, I'm throwing the doors open to relentless piss taking. But there you go, it works, and I've done it, and it's interesting, and there's different ways to explain why it works. Some of which are not quite so pie in the sky as you'd think, and some of which are. Let's not mince words. But I'll give you the gist. I won't explain how to do it on this because of time, but the gist is you have a desire, you reduce it down to a glyph via a process, then you charge that glyph with energy, you release it to the universe or your unconscious mind or to the field or to the Kia, depending on your metaphors, and then you forget about it, and then you just see what happens. And what happens is the synchronicities line up, things, you sort of things seem to go your way, and ultimately the thing that you've done the sigil for comes into your life somehow. And there's so many explanations for this. One of them is obviously the what was it, the reticular activating system, the RAS, the part of your brain that notices stuff. By doing this little process, you're tuning your brain to notice things that will lead you in the direction of your goal. Or some people believe you're literally programming the universe to deliver this thing to you. Others believe that you're seeking there's different explanations for why it works, and this video is not going to be long enough to go into all of them, but there's a workshop coming up that does. But this particular one is interesting because it happened and you can actually see it happen, and it does feel quite magical. Whether it is magic or not, or whether it's the psychology of it, it does feel, when it works, quite magical, and I like that feeling. What can I say? I like feeling a bit magical. It's better than feeling cynical all the time. This is not a scientific video, by the way. Let's get that up front. So I was reading. I'm interested in many things. I'm interested in comic books. I'm interested in the occult. I'm interested in magic. I'm interested in magical systems from around the world. And subsequently found myself Googling which comic books have real magic stuff in them. Because I was looking for some. I read Promethea, which I loved. By the way, if you want to study Kabbalah, Alan Moore's Promethea is the way to go. Before you get into all the dense, heavy stuff, give that a read. It makes it, it's an incredible thing. He takes you right through it, and tarot, in this comic book adventure, for want of a better word. Very deep book, Promethea. And The Invisibles is an obvious one. I'd read that in the 90s. That's what got me interested in the chaos magic thing to start off with, was reading The Invisibles as it was coming out in the 90s and secretly wanting to be one and dress like one. Which now I do. But, and Sigil's getting a lot of talk in there. The Invisibles comic book literally is a sigil. I can tell you about that on another occasion. But I'm Googling for stuff of that nature. I want more of that in my life. I've read The Invisibles, I've read Promethea. There must be other comic books that explore these ideas where real actual occultism appears as part of the plot. And one of the ones that came up was Ray Fawkes' run on Constantine. Constantine is a character created by Alan Moore. It's a British private eye who is an occultist and a magician and uses magic and deals with magical cases in these adventures. And Ray Fawkes has, by all accounts, just done a really good run on it. Really good. So I thought I'll have some of that. So I put it into Amazon, think I'll order those, get the trade paperbacks because of space. And it's way out of print. I mean, it's really hard to get. They're on there for like £400, £500 each. You know, they're really difficult to come by unless you're moneyed, which I'm not. So I thought, you know what? Put your magic money where your mouth is, Buckles. Let's see if we can do some magic to get a hold of these books. So I did it. Did what I do. I created a sigil, the statement of my intent. I own Ray Fawkes' Constantine run. You knock out the repeating letters, you knock out the vowels, you end up with some random letters that you then scramble into a glyph, and then you kind of make it look a bit witchy, and then you do some other stuff, and there are other processes involved. And at the end, you've got this symbol of your intent, the desire is gone, and then you charge it. There's other videos explaining how to do this on the internet. The way I charge it now is much more gentle than what I used to do, which, if you know, you know. Have a look. I've done it all sorts of ways. I've done it on roller coasters. I've done it on diving in the sea, all sorts of things to charge a sigil. But on this particular occasion, quite a gentle little process. And then you forget about it. Forget it completely. As best you can. So I've done my sigil. We now cut forward about a month and a half. I did this a month and a half ago. And I find myself wandering the streets of Palma in Mallorca. Working on a cruise ship, we pull into Palma, one of my favourite ports. And it's a beautiful place to get lost as far as a city goes. And I did this thing I do. I call them... another thing I got from Grant Morrison, from his book Pop Magic, the idea of going for a shaman's walk. You kind of put yourself in a very light meditation trance state and you go for a wander around town. But you imagine that the town is speaking to you. Imagine that it's sending you information for a set amount of time. And it's quite a good way to get over writer's block or any kind of creative hump that you've got. You just convince yourself that the town is talking to you for about an hour and then you drop it. If you can get into it, it's very interesting. It always works best in a town that you don't know that well. So I thought this is a perfect opportunity. I don't know Palma well enough. I know it well enough that I can get back, but I don't know it well enough that it's going to be boring. So let's see what it has to say. And sure enough, I'm wandering around and there's bits of graffiti on the wall that are, you know, meaningful to me. Synchronicity is everywhere when you do this kind of thing. That's really interesting as well. You're sort of wandering through this magical space where some guy's written something on a wall like maybe 20 years ago, but it's been waiting there for you to come along in that moment to see it while you're in that state where you need to hear what it has to say. It's quite nice and trippy. So I'm wandering around, I'm breathing deep, I'm enjoying it, the sun, everything else. And I'm with someone, I'm with a friend, Greta. We're going for this wander, and she decides she needs to pick up some stuff. She needs to pick up some music stuff. She's a violin player, very exceptionally good one. And so she's found a music store. So I take that as part of the flow of the experience that I'm having, and we go to the music store. And as we're going there, we pass a comic book shop. I had no idea such a thing was even in Palma, but there is one, Spanish language, obviously. But I think I'll chance it. I'll go in and see if there's any English stuff, to be had. So I go in the door, and it's quite, even by comic book standards, comic book store standards, this place is quite militant. The guy's not messing about, I come in the door, and everything's out, everything's there, and I say, sir, Anglais, English, any English books? And he just goes, box. There's one cardboard box right in the back left corner in the dark with English books written on the side of it. €5. There's maybe 20 books in there, Oh, fair enough, I'll go have a rummage. I might find a bargain. So in I go, sorting through. And there they are. Ray Fawkes' Constantine. Two issues of it, 2 trade paperbacks. €5 each. I thought I'd have some of this. So I got them. I bought them on the spot. Of course I did. Bought them, paid for them. Couldn't believe it. You can't get these books, And then, because I'm on a cruise ship, we do like a circuit. We come back a week later, and the 2 I've got don't complete the story. There's one more to get. And I thought, you know what? It wasn't there in the English box last time, But maybe, I don't know, maybe if he goes through that box on the regular, he might have found a copy of the last part, or one might have turned up. I don't know. So this time I went back with intent, and I had my friend Shimmy with me, who's the singer on board. Back we go to the comic shop. We tried another one. Turns out there's two there. We tried the other one first. Nothing there. Got back to the Magick comic shop. Don't worry, mate. Know where I'm going. English box, €5. Yes, back I go. The last copy, the one I need. It wasn't there the week before. It's just sitting. It's literally sitting flat on top of this pile of comics waiting for me. Just sitting there. €5. I grab hold of it all excited. Shimmy starts going, so will you be taking that back home and selling it for what it's actually worth on eBay? And I'm like, shut your fucking mouth. Don't be giving him any ideas. Shh. €5, governor. So look at that. It worked. My spell worked. Did a sigil, charged it. And lo, I am now the proud owner of Constantine, Ray Fawkes' run. Or if it's reversing the image, I don't know why it would do that on here, but there you go, a sigil story. It worked. Did a spell, a load of little coincidences, all out of my control, surrendering to the universe, and I end up in another country, in a comic book shop, in a back corner, where the multiverse had arranged for these three bad puppies to be waiting for me. The end.